right, sweet. So we are finally live. So just wait for some folks, wait for this live to get going, and we'll be going. So I want to thank everybody who's showing up. So before we get this live started, I'm going to talk a little bit about myself and how I started YouTube, actually when I started YouTube. So I am actually an OG YouTuber. So I've actually been starting YouTube since around 2006. Actually didn't pop up my first video till around 2009, and kind of been ever since doing YouTube since. And so off and on, I've been kind of doing a little bit of YouTube here, a little bit of YouTube there, dropping videos here, dropping videos down. Didn't really know exactly, what I wanted to do in terms of where I'm at now for YouTube as opposed to when I started. So I just kind of was just dropping videos here and there, and basically just kind of, I would say, skirt along, but it was something unique. It was something that I really wasn't expecting to want to actually finish doing. So it wasn't really something I really was looking forward to doing. So I decided to keep doing it. And so I just toss up random videos here and there. It wasn't until, I guess, kind of really late down the road, that's when I decided that I wanted to turn YouTube in more to a kind of a information, just kind of showing what I knew about certain things and whatnot. So my first video was basically on how to jailbreak an iPhone, because obviously back when iPhones were first coming out, people who had Android phones could do things that iPhones couldn't do. So people just kind of weren't really sure what they wanted to do. And so they wanted to do the same things that iPhones could do, but they couldn't do it. So that's when jailbreaking came along, and that's when people started realizing, I can do this with my iPhone, the same thing someone else can do with their Samsung phone or their Huawei or their Android phone. And so I just decided to kind of pop my first video as to how to jailbreak an iPhone, especially if it's your first time. So that was actually my first actual video that I popped up, and I think it made something like 4,200 views. And at this time, YouTube had just been starting, so nobody really knew much about YouTube in terms of what it did and how it was going to progress in the future, because you had other platforms that were kind of doing the same thing, but weren't really. And so I just kind of stuck with YouTube and just kind of random videos here and there. And then, like I said, it was until around 2013, 14, when I just started wanting to do, YouTube videos. I started becoming more serious in starting YouTube, because I was like, well, hey, YouTube sounds like it's a pretty cool thing. People wanting to learn things, people wanting to learn how to do stuff, DIY, especially when it comes to tech. There's always new tech out there, and people always going to be reviewing it. People wanting to do things. And so, I just decided to, started learning a lot about tech. And that's when I started, doing more videos on tech reviews. And I still love Apple stuff. And I still do love Apple stuff, but I kind of was focused on the tech as opposed to the kind of Apple stuff. And then it just kind of flourished into, doing a lot of iTunes stuff. So that's when I started learning about how to do this with your iPhone, how to do that with your iPhone. The number one thing I usually tend to get a lot is how to do iTunes cards and how to use those for pretty much anything you want to buy in the App Store and all that. And then that's kind of that grew. So over the years, I did buy a lot of gear. And so that's the whole point of this live video, is just to kind of give you kind of a background as to, you don't need a lot of gear to start a YouTube channel. Now, obviously, starting up with your cell phone is perfectly fine, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's some people who actually can create large sums of views and subscribers with an iPhone or with an Android device, whether it's a Samsung S21 or a Samsung Galaxy, or even an iPad or a Android tablet. So I'm just going to kind of go over some of the stuff that I started with, and just kind of have a kind of gathered and kind of just amassed. And so all of these I'm going to have descriptions for in the description below if you guys want to take a look at it. So the first thing I have up is lighting. So obviously, when it comes to starting your first YouTube channel, you want to make sure that you have some decent lighting. As I live in Alaska, during the summertime, that's not an issue because where my desk sits, I have a window right here, so I'm always going to have natural lighting. But if I needed more lighting, or say in the wintertime where it's actually not as bright as much at night as it is during the day, then yes, you're going to need a lot of good lighting. And I do have some few options that you could use for some good lighting. One of them that I use, and this is my main light now, is having in the corner here, and I'll probably pop it up with my Stream Deck, is called, as you can see, brighten up a little. That is known as an Elgato Key Light. Now, it's not a super expensive light, but it's not cheap. I think it's about 120 some odd dollars for this light. And the cool thing about it is that I can control it through an app on my phone or on my computer by simply downloading software from Elgato. And I can also use something called an Elgato Stream Deck, which will allow me to literally just control every aspect function of the light. So again, as you saw me just turn on, I can simply tap a button, it's on. If I want to go bright, I can customize a button. I can go bright, and it increases every 10%. And if I want to go dimmer, then I simply just dim, dim, dim. And that's pretty much it. And if I don't need it on during the daytime, I simply just turn it off. Now, it's a cool thing to use. It's not something I would suggest anybody and a cousin buy, but it is a neat thing to do. Now, the camera that I'm using to film my live on is my A60. Whoops, sorry. I kind of jumping the gun here. So continuing on the lights. Next up, obviously, that being $129 light. Well, now, that's a lot out of reach of a lot of folks. So, which, and again, understandable, especially when you're starting your first YouTube channel. So the best alternative, at least for what I bought these off of Amazon. And that is these. These are called Neewer light packs. Now, it's a set of 2 packs that come for about, I think, $30 to $40 off of Amazon. And what attracted me to them was that these don't really require a battery to actually work them. These you can actually plug in via a USB. So you can literally power these off of a USB, whether it be on your computer, whether it be on your laptop, and then the stand, it allows you to actually twist and you can extend it just like that. And you can adjust it, the angle with the little stands. It even comes with its own little type of tripod stand that you can set it down, and then you can actually raise it up depending on how you do your set. So literally I could have this, and then you just twist and it locks. And literally you can have it right there, and with this ball joint attachment, I can simply raise up the light level to where it's at my face. It's the same way as my Elgato, and all I gotta do is simply just plug it in and turn it on. Now it does come with different types of, I guess you could call them diffusers. So you get like a red, a blue, and a yellow. But I find that using the white is much easier. Now, unlike the Elgato, this one simply just uses your simple on and off button. So there is an on and off button right there. You press on that, you can up the brightness or lower the brightness. But beyond that, that's pretty much it. You'll know when it's on because when you plug this in, then there's a little blue light that pops up. I don't know if the camera can show that, but there's a blue light, or it says power. There's a little blue light that comes on when you turn this on. So it's pretty unique. I don't really use it anymore. I tried using it, but I primarily used it with my battery banks. And although it doesn't really take off a lot of power, it just doesn't really work in my situation in terms of how I need to have everything set up. So basically this is my YouTube studio, which is my room. So for me, lighting, yes, I can't do the same type of lighting that you would see when you watch like a lot of other YouTubers, such as like Think Media or Alpha Gaming or vidIQ, people who have larger rooms where they can actually have a light room with a diffuser and all that. I don't have that in my room, and I don't have the space to do that. But with something like this, or like the Elgato Key Room or Key Light. You can actually do that in small areas. The Elgato Key Light comes with like a little lamp post, and it also comes with a type of comes with a little stand that you can also clamp other things to as accessories, such as if you want to use a mic with it, you can buy what's called a long it's called the long arm, or the master mount is what it's called, and it has its own little mount that you can actually connect the mount to, and you can actually use that as kind of like your light as well as that. And there's other things that you have besides that. There's also something else that I use. I bought these before. These are called Lumecube Panel Minis. Now, I love these things. I actually have 3 of them. My first one was this one. Now, I'm going to talk about this one before I talk about the other 2. What I love about this one is that it does have a magnetic back. So literally, I could take this and I can mount it to the back of something magnetic if I have anything magnetic around, which I probably don't, which usually I do. But let's see. Yeah. So as you can see on my surface, it magnetically mounts to that, and or anything magnetic, you can mount it to that. It also has what is known as a 3/4 thread, that you can actually mount to, say, a tripod or another gimbal, or pretty much anything that you want to mount it to. You can do that. They give you two ways of doing it. Pretty simple operation. That is your on and off button right there. And then it's powered internally, which is actually kind of cool. I find that the lights that you can simply just, when the battery is dead, you just simply plug it in and just take the USB cord, whether it's a micro USB or a USB-C cord, simply plug it into a power bank or into the computer itself and power it. I find that very useful. So this just simply takes a simple USB to, or micro USB to USB, and you simply just power it that way. Comes with different various lighting settings, so you simply just press on it once, then twice, and then as you keep pressing, it tends to get brighter. It does take some pressing and getting used to. I still haven't gotten used to it, but it does have different various modes. You press it, I think, 3 times, and at each time you press it, tends to get brighter and brighter. It's nice. It does come with these little diffusers, so it comes with like a more earthly tone one and a white one that you simply just tap on, and then again, you simply turn it on, and again, then again, and then if you hold it one more time, that's maximum brightness, and then you just simply just turn it off when you're done. Now, it's not bad. They're actually pretty inexpensive. I think I got this for around 70 some odd dollars, I think is what I got this for. Now, I use this as kind of like my flashlight in a sense. So when I don't have my other flashlight, I can simply just take this, magnetically clamp it to whatever I need to on my desk. I got a lot of magnetic stuff. Simply clamp it onto that, and that's how that works. Actually pretty cool. But this is one of my lights that I use sometimes when I'm doing any type of unboxings and I can't use my Elgato Key Light because it's on my desk, and I need to use like my dresser for a platform for something for me to unbox. Normally 9 times out of 10, one of these lights angled perfectly right gives me enough lighting to do that. Otherwise, it's not a bad light. I would recommend this also, but I would recommend it more for like your camera or for like your cell phone. If you're doing any type of vlogging using a cell phone, this would work much better. So, and then now the next 2 that I have, these are known as Lumecube Panel Minis. So I know you've seen a lot of video advertisements for these. They do pop up a lot now. I bought the minis because they're small. They're pretty inexpensive. I think they're like $80 for these also. But what I love about these is, as you can see on the back paneling, they have a digital readout. So if I'll just kind of go over really quick. So this is your power button, the little blue one. This is your height. This is your brightness adjustment. So you can adjust how bright you want it or decrease how bright you want it, as well as it also allows you to turn up the Kelvin, so more of a bright, more of a daytime color, or you can dim it down, and it can be more of an earthly kind of amber look. And then it plugs and charges via USB-C. So even on the back, it shows you that you're on and off, plus and minus, and then that's your charging. So I'm just going to pop it on really quick. So right now I have it at 15%. So as you can see, it's at 15%. But if I turn it down, notice how the time seems to go up. So the dimmer you have it, the more battery life you have. The brighter you turn it up, the less battery you have. So basically, if I wanted to switch the kelvins, which is right there, press it again, and then as I select it down, it goes down to 32 kelvins. As you can see in my hands, it tends to look more earthly color, and excuse me. And as I raise it up, as you can see, it's more of a natural white light up to 56 kelvins. Now, it already has its own built-in diffuser, but if I wanted to add another diffuser in it, then it does come with its own separate one, and it still has cutouts that allow you to kind of just diffuse. So again, I'm at, as you can see, the lights changing, 32. So it does give you a nice little soft diffuse. I use these a lot also when I'm doing any type of unboxings, or if I just wanted to do a simple tutorial on something, or I just would have this kind of overlooking what I needed to look over. And using both of these gives me more than enough light to do the same thing that my Lumecube Go will do. Actually, I bought that really when I had my iMac. It was kind of designed as kind of a simple, this kind of an external light is what I had that for when I had my iMac. This is before I built my first PC, and this kind of changed out my whole deck layout. So these are very useful. I would recommend these to anybody. And again, they're not really expensive. It's only when you start going into like the Panel Go, and then their larger one, I think, is the Panel Mini. Then you got the Go. Then there's like another one. I forget which one it is, but I'll have a link in the description for these also if you want to take a look at that. So that's pretty much all the lighting that I have that I usually will use for any type of videos. But normally 9 times out of 10, my primary light's always going to be my Elgato Key Light because I can control that from my Elgato Cam Link. Now, next up we're going to be talking about is audio. So obviously audio is the #1 thing when it comes to video, because you can have good lighting and you can have a great camera, but if your audio is something that people can't hear, they can't understand, then no one's going to watch a video that they can't really understand. So I have a lot of different solutions for that. So the first one being the inexpensive, and this is the one that I would recommend to anybody who's starting their first YouTube channel, or just one to use their camera, and they don't want to spend a lot of money on, like, expensive audio equipment. These are known as the Boya M1s. Now, oops, sorry, backwards. These are the Boya M1s. Now, I made a video on these. These are $20. It's a $20 mic. And what I love about this, aside from the fact that, oops, I dropped something. Aside from the fact that it gives you a lot of cords, which is crazy. I don't really know why it's such a long length of cord, because normally if you're vlogging, you're not really going to be 10 feet away from your camera. Normally if you're doing that, you're going to have some sort of a wireless mic to do that, and it's much easier. But the fact that they give you so much cord is what makes this thing crazy. What's cool though is that it allows you to power it on and off. So it's a power system. It does take a battery. So as you can see right now, there is a smartphone and then there's a camera. So if you're using a smartphone, you simply just leave it on the off position, because the camera itself is going to, or your smartphone is going to power it itself. Now, if you're using a camera, then it will be using the battery. You simply just turn this on, and then it's on once you plug it into the 3.5mm jack. Does come with its own little type of, mic holder, so you can literally just kind of lavalier it up against your shirt or up against your collar or whatever. And it's pretty simple to use. It takes a really small type battery, so to remove the battery, or to actually just take the battery out, you simply just screw. Then you simply just lift up, pull out ever so slightly, and that is your battery right there. It's a little thick battery. I forgot what kind it is, but that's the kind of battery it goes. You simply just pull it out. Now there is a trick to actually getting this out. It's not as easy as it looks. You really gotta put something in between there to pop it out. Simply just usually trying to kind of do the whole method of lifting up and then pulling out. Doesn't really work sometimes, but you'll find creative ways of actually getting the battery out. It's not really going to damage on the inside. You just want to make sure you're not using a sharp knife or something where you're digging it and pulling out. That's actually pretty bad to do for this. Otherwise, you've also got a little holder there. You simply just slide that down on either your jacket or lower part, and then you just bring the lavalier mic up to you, and then you can get good audio quality that way. I've used this for numerous amounts of for about a year or so before I actually bought my next wireless or my next audio device that I use on my other camera. So it's about $20 off of Amazon. It's definitely a budget worthy microphone. So I have a link in the description for that. Now, the next one, if you're into shotgun mics, but you don't want to spend like $100 for like the Rode Mic Go, or for the $240 for like the Rode Wide of the Rode NG mic is what it is, I believe. Then I have this right here. I actually bought this off of watching Think Media, which is a great channel for people looking to start out their first YouTube channels and tips on how to grow your channel. They actually recommended this. This is known as the Takstar SGC 598. It's a pretty simple, basic shotgun mic. You got your 3.5 millimeter jack right there. And again, what's cool about this one is it is tube powered also. So you simply just turn it on and off. You also have your decibel reading right there. And this is your, gives you a little bit more of a boost in your bass. So it gives you a little bit more oomph when you're talking, depending on, how you do your, your audio and all of that. It's an amazing thing. I use this primarily on my Sony ZV-1 most of the time if I don't feel like what to use on my Rode wireless mics. But I'm really thinking about probably using this as an external mic for plugging in and doing Twitch streaming with it, although I'm not really sure just quite yet. But it does have your simple little mount right there that you can simply just slide it on to a camera, and there you go. And it takes, I think, AA batteries, I think is what this takes. So, yeah, AA batteries. So if you're not going to be using this, or if you're going to be using it for a long period of time, definitely recommend getting some type of a lithium-ion battery, as they last longer, as opposed to just regular old Duracell batteries or Energizers, because there'll be times where you buy another mic or you buy more audio equipment, and then you want to go back to another simpler mic, and you forget that as you turn it on, there's no battery in it because, well, the battery died. And the easiest way to know when this is on and off, which is pretty simple, is, let me get this back on. It can be a pain to put these back on too sometimes. So we'll just leave it like that. It'll be fine. So the easiest way is there's obviously the on and off button. So when you tap on that, when that green light is on, there's battery power. When there's no battery power, obviously it'll turn red or it just won't turn off. So again, it's not a bad mic. I bought off of Amazon for about $35. The case cover, it's not there. It's not hard to put in. It's, it can be a pain sometimes. So it just depends on, how much patience you're willing to spend on trying to get this thing back on. But I got it back on. So again, simply just put your on and off. And as you can see, there is power to it. Now, if the battery's dying, it'll turn a different color, red, obviously, because red just means that its battery's dying. And then once it's dead, it won't come back on. Now, it also comes with its own little carrying pouch. And again, I do use this occasionally, not as much as my other two wireless mics that I'm going to be talking about shortly. So the next two mics that I have, one that I'm using actually on my A6400, are the Rode wireless mics. Now, this is my first attempt, or my first bought wireless mic set. Now, there was obviously other brands out there. You got Ceramonic, Sennheiser makes a few, but a lot of them are pretty pricey. When not that this is cheap by any means, but this was around $200 for a wireless mic. Now, I didn't really know much about them until watched a lot of YouTube videos, and just kind of, decided on my own, well, wireless mics do help, because obviously in certain situations where you have a shotgun mic there and you're talking, shotgun mics are directional, so they pick up sound directly at wherever it's pointed at, whereas something like wireless mics are omnidirectional, so no matter where you're standing, it's going to pick up sound. It just depends on where you're at, where it's super noisy, which is why you can either use like I guess they call them like the wind guards on these, that can help you muffle out a lot of the sound, or in most instances you simply just like this, and then that is that, and you simply just have your receiver, this part right here, which uses a 3.5 millimeter plug-in, that you plug into one end, and then you take the other one, plug it into your 3.5 millimeter plug-in on your camera, and then you pretty much just set the receiver there, and that is pretty much all you need to do. Then you just simply just take your camera, do your vlogs, and it has a little digital readout right here, and what this tells you is the life of your receiver, how much battery, and if it's paired. So as you can see right there, that's pretty much how that's going to work. And then when I turn on the other one, it's going to also it lets me know how much battery life I have. So when I turn it on, as you can see, it's going to give me a little blue light, and then it's also indicated on there, as you can see, that it is paired with this. So as you can see, the TX is the transmitter, and the RX is the receiver. So as you can see, there's battery. You always want to make sure that you have battery power on this. Otherwise, it really sucks when you're trying to do a video. You turn it on, you don't pay attention to whatever the receiver is saying, and your next thing you realize is that, oh my God, it wasn't even turned on, and I just spent like a half hour doing a video. Now you're going to end up having to kind of transcribe, go through it all over again, and it can be a pain, because I've done it quite a few times when I've done this. So it can be a pain. Otherwise, normally you can also buy something called I forgot what this is called. It's for the Rode wireless mics. You simply can just use like this type of a setup, and then you simply just go like this, then like that. Then you can simply just put this in your camera's cold shoe, and that's how that works. And again, if you don't want to have this clipped to your shirt or to your collar, you can simply just do that. Again, have your video right there. You can simply just vlog, have this on a tripod or something, and then just work it that way. Normally, I always have it set up like this because it's much easier, as I'm usually using my Rode Wireless Go 2 mic, which has a 3 transmitter set, or it's a 3-piece set. You have 1 transmitter and 2 receivers, which is typically how I do it. And that's going to kind of look like this. So these are the transmitters for the Rode Wireless Go 2 mics. I'm actually using it right now, so you're hearing all the audio coming from my other mic and receiver. And it comes in with 3 little type of wind things. Again, you use these to kind of deaden out the sound. And the cool thing about these is that these ones allow you to simply just, because the issue you have with the other ones is that they just simply just push them on, and that was it. They didn't have a way of kind of staying on. Sometimes if you pulled it by the little wind thing, it would come off. But with these, you simply just put on, and you just simply twist, and that's how that works. And it's pretty simple, as opposed to with these, which have the little white things. So as you can see there, that's how that looks for that. And then for the Rode Go, the wireless 2 ones, as you can see, they're going to look a little bit different. So this is the Rode 2, this is the Rode Wireless. So basically how this worked is you simply would just plug this in, and sometimes it was a pain because you couldn't even tell if it was on or not. You kind of had to feel to make sure it was in, and that was pretty much it. And you would just press down, and then you would hold it up. But if you yanked on it enough, it would come off, and that was one of the issues that people were complaining about, especially me, because if I'm grabbing this or if I hit something or if the wind blows it off, or there's any number of reasons something could happen to it. If that pops off, you just introduce all this sound into the background, and you're going to end up having to edit it out at the end of the video, and that can be kind of a pain, especially if you've never done video editing before ever. So that is the Rode Wireless Go 2. And again, I'm gonna have I have a link in the description for all of these down below. So that is the Rode Wireless Go 2s. That is the Rode Wireless Go regulars. And the difference between the two is that with the Rode Wireless Go 2, you get 2 receivers and 1 transmitter, and you can split up the receivers. So you can have 1 receiver independent of the other. So say you're doing some type of an interview, you can simply hand them the receiver and you can go back and forth between the two. When you're asking them a question, they answer, and then in post edit, you can kind of put the audio together, which is kind of cool. I don't really do that myself because that's not my style of vlogging, but it's definitely worth taking a look at. Now, obviously, price-wise, you're looking at $300 versus $200. It just depends on what's going to work best for you. Like I said, they're pretty much on par in terms of the Wireless Go 2 with most other wireless brands of mics. So obviously, there's some that are even more expensive than the Wireless Go 2. But the Wireless Go's themselves, they're still pretty inexpensive. They're still at around $200. So that's still not bad for what you get with this type of audio equipment. So from that, now we're going to go into camera gear. Now, I've got a ton of different type of camera gear that I've kind of amassed over, I wouldn't say the years, but over the couple of months. One of them being tripods. So I'm going to show you the 2 tripods that I actually use. These are by KF Concepts. Now, as a solo content creator, it is kind of hard to do a lot of unboxing videos because normally, so obviously when you see people who have studios, they have a way of kind of just having a simple like display, and then they just have it there, then they have a camera overlooking it. Now, I made a kind of DIY video on how you could do that. As a solo creator, I've made a DIY where you could use a simple boom mic arm, put your camera on it, and do that. Problem is that with most lenses and cameras, they can be a little bit heavier than the boom mic can actually handle. So that in itself creates its own little issue. So I kind of looked around to see what I could find in a tripod that would allow me to do the same thing without having to have it permanently attached to my desk. That's when I came across the KF Concept tripods. Now, what I love about these is these are aluminum, so they can take a beating. But what I love about this is that all I have to do is simply just twist this knob, as you can see there, lift up, over, and then attach my camera to this. And then once I attach my camera to this, all I have to do is whatever lens I have attached to it, raise this up over the product, and then when I'm doing my unboxings, this is pretty much what I use. So pretty much all the unboxings that you've seen as of lately have always been using this type of tripod. Now you can do that with other tripods as well. There are some out there that are a little bit better in terms of function and form, but they're also a lot more expensive. I believe I spent about $100, or this was on sale actually for like $94, which is actually pretty good considering that it was normally $130. And then the other one that I have, same company, KF Concepts, is also a really good tripod. Now this one is not the same as the other one in terms of it doesn't allow me to overreach on it, but hello Autonomous. This year talking about camera gear and people who, for myself and those out there who are looking to start their first YouTube channel, just kind of going over some gear that I've used and can kind of help other people. So I'm talking about tripods right now. So this is my other KFC Concept one. Now this one doesn't do the same as the other one in terms of just it flipping over and sideways, but it does a pretty good job of that's your average simple tripod. Again, it's just all aluminum, and they have a nice little ball head right here that you can kind of twist around, and does a really good job of keeping my camera in place. I don't have to worry about it moving. And it can turn into a monopod, and you can lower and raise this however you want. And the cool thing is if you have a much heavier camera lens that you're putting on the camera, on the bottom here, as you can see, that you can use some type of a weighted thing if you want to add to this, and then that keeps your tripod in place. But I love the fact that it gives you various degrees of angles for doing videos, which is what I love about this, and that's why I bought a second one for that. So I can literally just raise this up like that, and then simply just do this and pretty much do however I want to do my type of videos, which I don't normally do videos like this in this sense, but it does give me different types of angles that I can do. So say I just want to have this laying down on the ground and I don't want it propped up, I simply just lower these there, put my camera on, and then that's pretty much it. Now, the only issue I would say I would have with the KF concept is these little tile things. So when it comes to this, it does make it hard to kind of push them in sometimes, because especially on my other one, it's really forceful. I wish they could have come up with a better way of doing that, getting rid of it, or giving a simple tap, or just allowing me to just like fold it up. It would be easier that way, but I really wish they could fix that on some of their tripods. It hasn't been an issue with this one, but with my other one, it is kind of a pain. So why are you talking about cameras? Well, I'm talking about, I like talking about camera gears because a lot of people are starting YouTube channels, and there's a lot of channels out there, and a lot of people don't know what they want to buy or what they want to get, and they don't know that you don't need a lot of stuff to start off your first YouTube channel. There's inexpensive options of doing it as opposed to buying expensive gear, or even when it comes to kind of even mid-priced camera gear, you don't really need a lot of expensive stuff. So I was just talking recently about lights. You don't need a lot of expensive lights. There are some lights out there that are pretty inexpensive that can do almost the same quality as other people out there who have much larger channels, who have a separate room on your kind of type of space. And now I'm talking about, just got done talking about audio equipment and things of that nature. So otherwise, okay, so we're gone from that. So when it comes to tripods and everything else like that, that is what I use. Those are all, have a link in the description down below for that. Then again, you've got like tons of different lenses that I've amassed over the years. Now, it depends on the cameras that you're using and the type of gear that you would need, such as SD cards. You've got tons of different type of SD cards out there. I have tons of different SD cards that I've bought over the years, and that really just depends on the style of videos that you're shooting. Obviously, if you're shooting in 4K, you want a faster read and write time so you can export your videos as quickly as possible, as opposed to just, say, you're shooting off of your cell phone camera. Well, you don't really need anything like that. You just simply just plug it in, and that's pretty much it. That's how that works. So when it comes to camera gear, that's pretty much all that I've got for that. Now, when on to cell phone gears. Now, this is the number one thing that people are going to be doing probably more than anything else, is using their phones for doing videos. So I don't really use my iPhone 12 for videos, but I can use them if I wanted to. Again, with just a simple mount, which is pretty simple. I just simply just have a way of doing this, or again, I just simply just take out my simple tripod. And I have two different tripods that I can do this with. It depends on the style of how you want to do it. So say you want to do this in a vlogging setup where you're at your house and you want to just kind of do a simple vlog. You just got your tripod and you've got everything all set and you're ready to do something. Then there is a way that you can use a simple mount. You can get these at Best Buy, Walmart, pretty much Target. Almost anybody sells this type of stuff. So I'm going to show you the various different mounts that you can use that can kind of help you upgrade your video content. Now, these aren't really expensive solutions. They're actually pretty cheap in a sense. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you two different brands. Now, these are all from Manfrotto is what I bought these from. So one of them is just your simple mount. You simply just take this, pop that in, then you simply just screw this in to your mount and such. Oops. So accidentally hit 911 by accident. That's not what I want to do. Well, oops. So you basically would just simply take your mount it like that. And then all you gotta do is simply just take that, do that, and then there you go. Now you have yourself a pretty simple setup. Now, obviously, there's no way of adding a mic or a light to that, but you actually can. Most, depending on your iPhone, which all iPhones are going to be a Lightning to USB, Lightning to some sort of a plug-in, but you can buy what is known as a Lightning to 3.5 millimeter jack. You simply just plug it into your camera or your phone, because pretty much all iPhones are going to be Lightning to USB-C. So you simply just pop that in like that. And then you simply just take a mic and you can lavalier up to you, or you can do it in a different way depending on the type of cell phone mount that you have. But if you want to do it a different way, there is other ways you can do that. So I'm actually going to take this off, and I'm going to show you another mount that you can use as well. This one I actually prefer more than all the other ones because it's much easier to kind of move things around on it. So we're going to take this one off. And then again, these are Manfrotto mounts, because that's pretty much all I ever buy is Manfrotto. Now you have this simple mount like this. Now what's cool about this one is that, as you can see, it has a cold shoe mount right there. So you simply just lift this. Now this piece right here holds the mount in place. So depending on how wide your phone is and how big your case is, you simply just lift up, and then once your phone is in, you simply that secures the mount where it is. Then you simply just screw this in to your mount, and then depending again on what type of lighting system that you want to do, or again if you want to use some sort of a mic, you can use a simple mic to put on this. So say you want to use your Rode wireless mic, so you simply would just take your transmitter off of this, and then you would simply just put your transmitter on this, just like that. And then again, that would simply plug into this, which is again your Lightning to 3.5 millimeter plug-in. And you can pretty much get these anywhere. It doesn't have to be an Apple one, but you can buy these. They're pretty inexpensive, it's like $10 or so. Then you would simply just take your simple plug-in like this. Then you plug that in like that. Then you would just simply just mount this onto your tripod or your handheld tripod. So we're going to use the Manfrotto. So you don't want to use a tripod. You simply just screw that in like that. And then voila, you've got yourself your own simple vlogging. And then you just take your extra mic, which right here, simply just take this. You can either side pocket or, kind of in your shirt, and you have yourself your kind of makeshift but highly inexpensive way of doing your daily vlogs or any type of vlogs. Even when it comes in terms of desk setups, you can simply just on there like that, and you can simply just do your vlogs. Now again, this is the inexpensive way of doing it. I highly recommend, if you're not looking to spend a lot of money on gear, that this is probably the best effective way of doing any type of vlogs for your YouTube channel. Now, obviously, if you want to add some sort of a light to this, this only unfortunately allows you to use the cold shoe mount for one item. You'd have to use something different if you wanted that in your channel. So otherwise, it's a pretty inexpensive one. It's a Manfrotto for that one also. I'm sorry, this one's a Joby. And then the one that I got, for, I believe I got this one for my Manfrotto, is another one as well. This one, again, you simply just, and what I like about this one is that it has its own little lever that you can raise up and down. And again, it does have the cold shoe right there. So again, you simply just clamp down, and then you simply just that way, and then voila. And again, you can either use a lighting system and use the own internal speakers that come with the camera, or you simply just this way. And again, you can use this in any setting that you want when it comes to vlogging, especially if you're going to be using this at home or using it on your desk. Once you have this on there, that is pretty much it. You always want to make sure you have this nice and tight though, because sometimes you may think it's on there tight and then you do some sort of a movement and then your camera falls or your phone slides right off. So you always want to make sure that that's nice and tight. And then again, you can either do it this way or you can have the camera reverse. It just really depends on your vlogging style. Obviously with cameras nowadays, the front-facing cameras still give you at least 1080 quality, which is actually better than different types of different other phones back in the past where the quality was like 720 and it was at best just to use the rear camera. But again, you can still vlogging just perfectly fine. Just depends on your style of vlogging and what you like to do. So going on from the cell phone, now we're going to be talking about just mostly camera. I would be talking about computer gear stuff, but I don't really have a lot of stuff that I can actually show you because most of it I'm already using. But I'll just talk about it mostly in general wise. So for me, when I do my videos, I edit all on a PC. I don't use a Mac. I do have a Surface Go 3 that I actually just bought, which is this right here. So I will be doing a little bit more of a better review on this. I just bought it a couple of days ago, so I haven't really had a chance to actually kind of play around with it. But I just bought this. So in terms of video editing and photo editing, I really wouldn't recommend the Surface for that. It's at least not the Surface Go. It's not really designed for that type of. Put this over here. It's not really designed for that. You can use it for like taking notes or for writing down your ideas. Pretty much you could use it in a normal computer capacity, but in terms of like photo editing and video editing, not so much on this. It's not really designed for that. You can maybe do like some light video editing and maybe some light photo editing, but in terms of like 4K, 1080, it's not really going to give you that kind of an option to do that. And I wouldn't recommend this. Now on an iPad, which I also use right now, which is what I'm looking at right now for my notes, I have an iPad Air. Now that I can do some video editing and some photo editing on it, and I primarily do this mostly for my thumbnails. I do all my photo editing from this using Lightroom as well as Photoshop Express. I don't really use it for any type of video editing. That's why I have my PC for that. And so I'm listening a little bit over my PC specs. So this is my first PC computer that I bought. It's an AMD build, running like 32 gigs of RAM. It's an AMD Ryzen 5 3600. I'm running a 2070 RTX graphics card. And I primarily built that really as more of my gaming PC. I really wasn't really thinking about using it as a video editing machine because I was actually thinking about doing something else that way. But then I just figured it made sense just to kind of use it as both. And so I kind of just did both. So now this is both my video and my photo editing. And then I also use Elgato Mounts. So what I have my camera, my A6400 mounted on, I have that on an Elgato Master Mount, as well as I have a Master Mount on the side over here that I also use for my Sony ZV-1. And then my Key Light has its own little stand that it comes with, and it also comes with, I bought another mount for that called the a flex arm or flex mount, I think is what it's called, is what I have for that. And then I have various other things that I use. I have an Elgato, I mentioned before earlier, I have an Elgato Stream Deck. And what this does, this just allows me to control my lights when I need to. And I only have just one light. So if I need it on, like right now, I just press the button. And I have two settings for it. I can turn it for brighter. I can make it as bright as I want. So if I want to leave it like this, then that would be fine. If I need it a little bit lower, then I simply just tap on it again and it can dim the light. I can pretty much do whatever I want with this light. It has its own diffuser, but I also bought what is known as I don't remember the name of it. I want to say it's like the Neewer soft, not reflector. Well, I do have a reflector, but I don't really use a reflector. This is what you would use for, say, you want to get better light on depending on how much light you needed on you, and you only have one light source. Then you can use a reflector to kind of give you more of a softer look on the sides as opposed to just one side being bright and the other side being dark. But that's not, I don't really use that because that's what I got the Elgato cam light for, or the key light for. But I have this, which is known as a softbox. Now, this is what I buy to kind of soften my light if it's too bright and I don't need it over bright. So say I put it at normal bright setting and that's as bright as I want. Well, that's kind of harsh light to me. So with this, I simply can just take this, simply just comes with little bars that keep it in place. And although this is a little bit bigger than my key light, I can use this to basically soften up the light on this. So as you can see, this is what my light looks like now. I simply just put this over it. And as you can see, now it softens up the light. Now it is a little bit bigger than the key light, but it actually works just fine. So I can turn this as bright as I want. And as you can see, it still softens out the light. And that's the one thing I love using about that. That's the one thing you'll probably have a lot of questions on is to, you know, how do I make my light look good where it's not super bright and it's reflecting off of my eyes or reflecting off my glasses or whatnot. And a lot of people have been struggling with that, which is understandable because I still too was learning about how light works and all of that. But that is pretty much all the gear that I use when it comes to all my PC gear and things of that nature. So I'm gonna turn that off now and we're just gonna go back to dark. So actually I'll probably leave that on because it's getting a little bit darker right now. So aside from that, again, my Surface Go is pretty much the only other thing that I use for any type of light photo editing. Now when it comes to video editing, like I said before, it's just a base model. I don't really use this for that. I don't even use my iPad mini for that. But again, these are great for, say you have a bunch of notes that you want to jot down. You can simply just write them down in this and use this as kind of like your keynotes or for your script, so that when you're looking at doing your YouTube videos and you're looking at your script, these work great for that. So now in terms of that, that's pretty much it for that. In terms of camera gear, don't really have anything else other than soundproofing. So obviously when it comes to video editing, you want it to be as less echoey as possible. As I said before, this is my room, so I don't really have a lot of soundproof in my room. But I did buy something known as Elgato wave panels. And again, I have a link for everything I talked about in the description below. I have what is known as the Elgato wave panels. And what these are sound panels that they use for kind of softening the sound in your room. So if you get like a lot of echo, so you don't want to use a lavalier mic or anything like that nature, you just want to have it straight out of your mic from your camera, then a sound panel will help improve your sound. It won't give you as much echo. That way when you're doing video, it sounds more clean and not as distorted. I actually bought 4 of them because I wanted to see what it would look like in my room. I wasn't doing an unboxing video, but I decided not to. But if you want to check out what they are, I have a link in the description for that as well if you want to see what that's all about. And that's pretty much all that I've got for this video. Just a few more things to brush up before I end this. So cameras. Now I have 2 cameras, really 3, but really 2 that I only ever use. One being my Sony ZV-1 and the A6400, which is what I'm currently shooting on with the Sigma 16mm f1.4. Now, the reason why I didn't want to talk too much about cameras is because cameras, you can kind of get lost in it. You can kind of go down the rabbit tail with it. And by that, I mean you can spend a lot of money on just camera. The camera alone itself is an expensive venture. Then the lens adds to that. So what I mean by that is that I paid $900 for the A6400. That's just the body itself. Now, when I bought another lens for it, I actually bought this lens, and then I bought this lens. So this is the kit lens that you normally would get with the A6400. There's 2 different versions of it. This is the 16 to 50mm, 3.5 to 5.6, I believe is what it is. F3.5 to 5.6. OSS, which stands for optical steady shot. And then I also have the 16mm f2.8. So this is basically a little bit wider of a lens than the Sigma because the Sigma is a f1.4. So this is f2.8. So it's going to be a lot wider, which is why I love the Sigma lens, because it gives you just enough wideness to where it's not overly wide, but it still gives you a nice bit of bokeh, even when you're shooting on live video right now, which is what I'm doing. As you can see, the background's a little bit blurrier. You get the same effect with this one. But these lenses can be expensive. So this lens on the Sony website is about 250 bucks. I actually got this off of Overstock. It was an open box, which it really wasn't really much of an open box special. I'm assuming someone just probably didn't want it, so they returned it. I actually got this for like 160 bucks. This lens, also off of Overstock.com. This is a $250 lens off the Sony website. I also got this off of Overstock for around the same price, I think $10, $20 more. And it has a power zoom, so you can actually zoom in and out with this. Now, if you have this paired with a Sony Bluetooth wireless controller, you can actually control the zoom in and out from the remote control without having to go using the camera itself. Now, these are just these two lenses alone. That's $500 for two of these lenses. My Sigma was $300, so that's actually $200 less than both of these lenses. And then I bought the Sigma 30mm f1.4, and I primarily use this lens for pretty much all either B-roll shots or starting to learn B-roll shots is what I'll use this with, or I'll also use these with thumbnails. I don't really ever use the 16mm lens or the 16mm, either the f1.4 or the 2.8 for thumbnails because they just are too wide. I don't really need all that. And then this is my 55 to 210mm zoom lens. Now, honestly, I'm not even sure why I bought the lens. It's nice to have a zoom lens every once in a while because the only zoom lens I have is this one, but this one only does this only does a 16 to 50mm. So 50mm is as far as this will go, and then you go into digital zoom. Whereas this one's all the way up to 10. Now I'm actually thinking about actually replacing this and buying the new Sigma lens that they have coming out, or that's out already. I'm thinking about replacing this with that one. Not really sure yet, but I probably will. So stay tuned for that video when I drop that, if I do it. So, but again, that lens itself was another $250. This lens is actually the cheapest out of all the lenses in terms of the Sigma. This one's like a $250 lens or $300, because that one was $400, I think. I get lost in track when it comes to lenses. I never really pay attention to how much lenses cost until after I've already bought them. But this is the least expensive at around $289, I believe is what this is on sale for during the Sigma lineup. Let me see how much this actually is because I don't remember off the top of my head. So we're going to do a quick look. And I believe that this lens is around $280 some odd dollars. I'm pretty sure because that's how much I paid for mine. So let's take a look here. It's a standard lens, and it's going to be for the APS-C. So this lens is actually $300 some odd dollars for the f1.4. Now there's two different versions of this. There's one that's I guess they call it the DCDN Contemporary, and then you've got the DCHSM, the A, which is the artisan version. So that was the higher end version of this one. Otherwise, this one is going to be the least expensive at $300, which is normally $340. So this is actually less than the higher end version of the same lens. So as I said before, you can get kind of carried away with these lenses as they can be extremely expensive. So that's why I didn't really want to go too much into the lenses themselves, but that's the lenses that I have for that. And then I use my A6400, which again, like I said, is my primary vlogging camera with a Sigma lens. And that's pretty much it. So just one more thing before we actually finish is other things that you might want to consider when you're using, when you're starting, especially if you're out and about, is power banks. These are going to help you immensely. I have 4 of them. They're all Mophis. Some are more powerful than others. This one is a 10,000 milliamp Mophie battery bank. As you can see, it has 2 plug-ins for USB, so I can power up 2 different devices with that. Then I have just my single Mophie. This one's actually the least amount of power, milliwatt amps. So this one I usually will primarily charge up, like, say, a battery pack, or if I need to power up my GoPro because it's almost running dead, then I use this as opposed to my other one. And then I actually have, this is my actual first Mophie battery pack that I bought around 7 or 8 years ago, and it still goes. This thing has lasted me for so long. That's why I usually tell people, if you're looking for a good battery bank, either buy an Anchor or a Mophie. I think those are 2 of the best battery banks that I ever used. I just unfortunately living in Alaska, I can't get the anchors, but you can buy Mophis. At least I bought Mophis, and so this is my oldest one, and this is my newest one here. This one is 20,000 milliamp. Now this one gives me multiple charges, and I've never really used this unless I absolutely have to. Otherwise, there's a little button on the side if you want to see what the battery looks like. You just tap on that, and it tells you exactly how much battery power is there. But aside from that, this is a 20 milliwatt amp, or 20,000 milli, or 20,000 milliwatt amp battery. So I can use this to charge up two battery banks, two battery packs, whether it's for my cameras or if it's for like my laptop or for my Surface, if you were able to do that with a Surface, or with an iPad or your MacBook, or pretty much any PC that you need to plug in and power something with. You can plug that into this and it will charge it numerous times. Again, I would recommend the Mophis over anything else. So that's pretty much it. So again, I want to thank everybody for watching this video. Hope you guys enjoyed this live. I don't really do lives too often. This is actually my second live that I've done since I've had my channel, and that's it. So feel free to browse my channel. And again, I want to thank everybody for watching. And my name is Black Pino, the Apple Guy, and I will see you guys in my next video.